everybody, and welcome to episode 24 of the Bao Podcast. Today, we welcome no one less than Minne Warmenbol. Minne is a master in architecture and co-founded BUURMAN 3 years ago. BUURMAN Antwerp is a circular construction market where reused building materials from the region are collected, processed, and sold. In this way, they offer a logical and local alternative to burning or low-grade recycling of good materials. The materials come from all kinds of different parties, from museums to demolition companies that are unable to repurpose them within their organization. Our collaboration with BUURMAN solves a waste problem and a sustainability issue for them at the same time. Apart from used material, they also repurpose uprooted urban trees, and these tree trunks are processed into usable wooden planks instead of being shredded in the regular polluting way. I am very curious to hear more about the journey Minne has already taken in these last 3 years. So without further ado, welcome Minne. How are you doing?
Hi, thanks. I'm doing good.
Yeah?
We're in the middle of moving with our company with BUURMAN, so we're setting up the new place. It's a lot of work, a lot of sweat with this kind of weather, but I'm good.
Yeah, I can imagine. So maybe for the audience who's going to listen to this later, we are recording in June and it's around 30 degrees.
Yeah, something like that.
You're in the middle of a heat wave. It's been 30 degrees for a couple of days already.
Yeah.
So I can imagine it's quite rough to do a big...
Burning a lot of calories.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But you're moving and you're moving to a bigger location?
Yeah, because now we started, I think we opened 2.5 years ago in Kalverstraat. But it was like a smaller location, lower ceilings, tiny little corners instead of one big giant useful place. So we're bursting out of it, and it was time to move. It was time to go step up a little and make sure we can make space for bigger lots of materials to process and to move. Yeah,
I can imagine that it's probably growing quite quickly. I mean, maybe before we move ahead already to where you are today, or we are going to look to the future, maybe it's more interesting to first go a little bit back and to discuss a little bit how you came up with the idea of BUURMAN, because it sounds like a very logical thing to do, but if I'm correct, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, there was no alternative for what you guys are doing in Antwerp. You're the first one who are doing this, right?
Yeah, we are. So I think it was 3 years ago that we went to BUURMAN in Rotterdam. We visited the place for a project Eva and I were doing as an architect, and when we drove back, we were like, okay, so we really need to do this in Antwerp. I mean, why isn't this already existing? So we just thought, why don't we just do it? Why don't we just give it a try, see how it goes, and then we'll see in a year from now if it's working or not, and then we can stop and learn something, or we can go on if it's successful. And here we are.
3 years later.
Yeah, 2.5.
2.5 years. But you were working as an architect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of. Yeah. I studied to be an architect, and I worked as an architect, like the pure form of it, for 3 years. But then I took a detour. Many detours, actually.
Like which? Which detours did you make?
I did a lot of different kind of jobs. I was also production manager in a social environment where they had like a wooden and a metal construction area. I also did like branding and conceptual designs for retail, different projects, but always with some kind of link to architecture, but I knew from the beginning that I didn't want to be an architect as it is. So it was like a kind of a search for me, what would I want to do? And when we went to BUURMAN 3 years ago, it's like, yeah, that's the thing.
This is it.
Yeah.
And why did you know from the beginning that you didn't want to be a regular architect?
Because I don't like sitting on a desk too much. Although I'm still doing that at BUURMAN today, but no, I just didn't like the technical drawings and checking the concrete on the site, arguing with contractors and stuff. I didn't like that too much. I think there are many more skilled architects that can do that better than me. And I just wanted to do something that had to do with wood more and, yeah, building stuff.
Okay, so some detours, and then you ended up, but you at the moment you visited BUURMAN in Amsterdam, Rotterdam. Mm-hmm. You were working as an architect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Concept design more, yeah.
What's the difference between architect and concept design?
It was more like, okay, so we want to do this with our retail, our brand, but we're not successful in showing it physical. How can we reach this kind of people? What do we have to do to expand our clients, or I don't know how to say that in
Client
English.
Base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we turn our business to be more like this or that? And then I designed it, but more the interior.
Okay.
Yeah, and the branding and.
So BUURMAN is it's a concept that already existed in the Netherlands.
Yeah, and they were doing a really good job because it was a really nice place to visit, and they had the material shop where you could just go ahead and buy a beam or a board, whatever you need. And then there was also a workshop area where you could follow courses to be trained to how to work with wood. And so I like that combination very much because there's always something going on, and it's not just a shop where there's a client buying something, but there's another one building something else, and it's a vibrant place. So
moving around,
yeah.
No desk sitting.
Yeah. Not too much behind the scenes though. Yeah.
There's always accounting.
Yep.
Okay, and like it existed already all across the Netherlands, or was like the Rotterdam the first one, or?
Yeah, they were the first one, and they were founded 8 years ago, and then there was Utrecht also. They were founded 5 years ago right now, I think, more or less. And now there's a third one in Den Haag that's starting this month, I think. So yeah, in the Netherlands, it's a growing business. In Belgium, we're the only one that's named BUURMAN. There's, of course, a lot of different material libraries, or how do you say that? Shops where you can buy reused wood, but it doesn't always have like the workshop, the courses that we give, and a different name, of course, different, I don't know.
Branding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how does it work then? Like, because you were the first BUURMAN in Belgium,
Mm-hmm.
and are you then you're a daughter company of the Dutch organization? A sister,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah. We work together on a horizontal way. So every 3 months we come together and we share experiences, share our knowledge, maybe also share sometimes wood, or if we have too much pallets of one type of wood, we just rent a truck that goes around and drops it off at different BUURMANen. And then
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we can share the materials, but also our knowledge and the experience. Like, this course is not going well. How is it at your place? Or how can we change it a little bit? How do you do that with people working for you? How much do you pay them? Like we share all those things, and yeah.
So it's more like buurmannen or like neighbors or like a learning network. It's not a franchise. It's not that you need to
franchise light, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we bought the name and the concept first place, but then we are sharing a lot of
experience. Okay. So you visited them, you were like so impressed, and then just send the mail like, hey, we want to do this in Antwerp.
No, we were there and we saw Laura, who is the founder.
Okay.
And we just asked her, hey, if we want to do this in Antwerp, how does it work? And we went from there on. I think we had like 2 or 3 different conversations, and that was it. It was easy.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, no, it wasn't that easy. We needed to find a place here in Antwerp where it was possible and build a network for the materials we needed. We did a lot of work behind the scenes. I mean, but just we want to start BUURMAN in Antwerp between signed paper where you have like the intention we are going to do this. It was like just 2 or 3 different conversations. Yeah.
Awesome.
Like sisters. Huh?
Yeah. Sometimes it can go quickly.
Yep.
In construction.
Yeah.
And maybe for the audience, I mean, I tried to explain it a little bit in the introduction, but I'm not an expert, of course. A material data bank. That's what BUURMAN is, right?
No,
not only, but that's one of the...
It's not a data bank. It's more like we collect wood that's otherwise being thrown away, burned, or shredded, and we collect them. We make sure that there's no nails or screws in it anymore, and then we just sell it. So it's not like we have a digital list of all the materials we have or are coming, or it's just whatever is there. What you see is what you get. Like, if we have like 20 beams or anything, it's not like we have 25 more in stock. It's just what's there that's available.
And the customers can't check like an online database.
Yeah.
They can?
Yeah, we have our website that's pretty accurate. Like we have, let's say, 5 black doors. But if some customer comes and buys 2 of them, there are only 3 left, and we don't always adjust the amounts. Mm-hmm. So it's just like it gives an image of what's available at the moment.
Right. And where does the material come from?
Oh, so many different places. Yeah. There's a lot of materials that come from construction areas, like contractors or architects or I don't know how to say that. Organizations that just call us, hey, we're going to tear this apart. Do you guys want this or that? We're throwing it away. Then we just rent a van or a truck. We drive there and we pick it up. And they have less costs in throwing it away. So they don't need a container to throw it away. We just come there, pick it up. Sometimes they have a truck available and they just bring it to us. And then there's the public organizations that also call us, like the museums. If they're tearing apart an expo, they take it apart, make sure it's ready for us to pick it up, and then that's that. And then there's also pieces that are thrown away after producing stuff. Sometimes they're really big, or just always the same size of boards, for example, and that's a good source for us too. Let me think. just the guy on the street that has like some leftovers from rebuilding the house. There's also some woodworking companies that are working with us, when they have like wrong cut sizes, they have to throw it away because they cannot sell it anymore. And so that's new, but for us it's still reclaimed because they're gonna throw it away otherwise. So yeah.
So the materials that you go and pick up or that get dropped off, it's always material that if you wouldn't recycle it, it was going to get thrown away.
Yeah.
It was going to go to the landfill.
Yeah. So we don't ever buy stuff because if somebody's selling it, it's not trash. And then it's not circular. I mean, somebody else is going to use it. So there's a market for that and it's perfect. But we have to draw a line there because
you want the trash.
Yeah, because that's the environmental thing to do.
Of
Yeah,
course,
if somebody is selling it, somebody else is gonna buy it, and it's good. It's gonna be reused. But if it's gonna be thrown away or burnt, then it's good to pick it up. Yeah.
How many tons of material are we talking about on like an annual basis? Do you have an idea?
I had an idea, but now on the top of my mind, no. Let me think. I think first year, I can be wrong, but I thought it was like 270 tons.
Damn.
First year.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, but imagine if you have like a trunk of a tree that's like 5 meters long, 40 centimeters round, then that's already half a ton. So
still,
yeah,
that's
still.
500 big trees.
Yeah, I know.
And that was year one.
That was year one.
So it immediately was a success. It immediately got going.
Okay, yeah. So we needed to build a little network first, but now it's really picking up easily. We never thought that after 2 years we would be bursting out of our seams. Needed a bigger place, so it's going fast. Yeah, we are trying really hard to catch up with the demand on the other side, and yeah.
So there is always more demand than supply, or is there always more supply than demand?
There's an enormous amount of supply. We are struggling to process everything that's been handed to us. We still have a lot of times where we have to say, no, I'm sorry, we don't have the place, or we don't have the people to pick it up or to process it, because sometimes there are just too many nails to make it easier for us to just directly sell it. So we have to be a little strict at the moment, and we're hoping to expand the demand more so we can make it go faster, that it's just there for 2 weeks and then it's moving on, next materials can come. So yeah.
And what is like which things are you trying now to increase the demand? Isn't it, I mean, I think the main thing is just that people get to learn about this, right? Because it's a win-win. I imagine it's cheaper than buying new material.
Yeah, it's always cheaper. We always try to be around 50% of the new price.
Okay.
But that's really a high goal of us, because it's not always easy to sell it at 50%, because it sometimes takes a lot of work for us to dismantle the boards. And that's why we're trying to be a little more picky. If there's really a lot of work to strip the boards, it's not possible for us to sell it at 50%. But a client that comes in our place, they don't want to buy a reused board, even if it doesn't have any nails, for the same price as a new one. Of course, that's logical, makes sense, huh? So we really do have to be cheaper, and that's why we have to be picky. Even though I don't like to, but yeah.
You want to take in all the trash, but sometimes the trash is just too trashy.
it needs to make sense for people to buy the stuff. So a lower price is the first step, of course. Yeah.
Because there is always some manual labor that needs to happen to make it repurchasable.
Not always, no.
Sometimes it's just from the side, clean, ready to go. Here it is.
Yeah.
Sell it again.
Yeah. Especially if it's not coming from buildings that are torn apart, but if it's like the pieces that come out of production, that's always just clean material because it's new. And also like the wooden companies that just have the wrong cuts, for example, it's new. There's no nails in it, but it takes a lot of effort for us to take. But that's of course in our old place because it doesn't have any high ceilings, so we are not able to move around with a truck. It's all manual work. So if a truck comes in, we have to take each piece by hand.
Manually.
And that's gonna change now. So.
Oh God.
Yeah, we're gonna be a little more efficient. Yeah.
You didn't have like
Nope.
a klaksje, like an electric thing to unload.
Yeah, but we didn't have the right
measurements.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the doors were too small like 2 meters max. Yeah.
That's quite a relief, I can imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're really looking forward to the new place. Yeah.
When is it gonna be done? When are you gonna be fully moved, you think?
2 weeks. 29th of June, we're opening in a new location. Yeah.
It's gonna be a party?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. But then with how many people are you now? Because if you need to do like on some material, not all, but on like significant amount, quite a lot of manual work, I can imagine like you can't do that with two people.
No, we're 4 of us that are working on a steady base, and then we have some volunteers and some people that are freelancing. The last part is mostly the teachers for courses, and there's also 2 people that are intern or have a social distance from regular jobs that are working with us, and they dismantle the stuff that needs to be dismantled. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're hoping to expand in the upcoming year or so.
Right.
Yeah. But we're also working together with a company that's not far here, Manus, they called.
Oh yeah, they're just around the corner. Yeah, they're next to our office. We see them every day.
Yeah, so we're gonna work together, do some different kinds of jobs in the next coming years, where they have a team of people that really know how to deconstruct on site. And they're gonna try and do it in a way that we don't have a lot of job to do at our place anymore. So, yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, they can really train the people. They just know how to do. They go from this side to another side and do the same job every time. And then they will be a good running team for us to be on the different locations and to just bring the materials to our shop. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. So you've been doing this now for almost 3 years. Mm-hmm. What are like the biggest learnings you've had up to now?
That's a tough question. Yeah, it's because we're beginning, it's not always easy. There's a ton of work to do, and it's not always easy to know which is really needed now and what do we do later. Or we're always being an octopus, like doing everything at the same time, but it keeps you out of focus sometimes. So that's not always easy to jump from one job to another. Sometimes you're people manager, then you're connecting with different parties to build something new. Then the other day you're just cutting trees into boards, and then you have to be administrative, whatever. Yeah, it takes a lot of different jobs to do it. And in the beginning, you're the young one doing it. Like me and Eva, we have a lot of different hats, we call it. Yeah.
I know that feeling. Yeah, very much. But it's satisfying.
Yeah, sure.
No?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I think also one of the things that are really challenging is that we still have to open a lot of doors that are not open right now, or build bridges that aren't there. And it's like we have to constantly convince people that it's a good way and a new way, and they just have to think differently. So you're boxing all the time to make the change, and that's not always easy. It's really satisfying when it works, and when people see like, oh yeah, maybe this will work. We can do something else or something differently. But yeah, that's sometimes challenging. Yeah.
Always selling, always promoting, always convincing.
Convincing a lot, yeah.
Again, I feel your pain. You mentioned cutting trees. Maybe that's also a cool project to explain to the audience. So a couple of years ago, there were some big trees that got cut in Antwerp center. Yeah. And you guys made something with it, right?
Not really.
Okay.
But they were cut and they were going to biomass production.
Wood pallets.
So we spoke to the contractor and we're like, how much do you get for this load of trucks? It was like this and this and that. We're like, we're giving you the same, but we want the trees. So he dropped them at a place where they mill the trees. We let them mill in boards, planks, and we let them dry. And then we just sold them for people to buy a piece of wood that was a tree a year ago in their streets or something like that. And then we also had like the smaller pieces of that. We let them be cut and sanded to be a plank or a plate on the table for cheese or appetizers, whatever. Yeah.
So you did make something out of
it. Just small parts. Yeah.
But that's pretty cool.
That's nice. Yeah. It's we recently did the same thing with trees that were cut for Oosterweelverbinding. At the Noordkasteel. So we saved 30 trees. That's really a lot of wood.
It's a lot of cheese planks.
Half of that is already cut and drying, but it takes at least a year, 2 years, 3 years sometimes, depending on the thickness of the board, for it to dry. So they're drying and resting right now. And I think it's a shame that trees in a city need to be cut because they contain so much, how do you say that? CO2?
Perfect.
And if the tree is shredded or burned, it just releases all the CO2. But if you cut it in boards, the CO2 stays in the wood. So it's better for the environment. And it's also why would we buy new trees that are cut in like Poland if you have the trees right here? So they just need to be kept locally because it's a source. It's a natural source that comes from the city, and there's not a lot of sources in a city, right? So it's a good story in every kind of in every direction, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember I was very shocked. Like, I live at close to the student neighborhood of Antwerp.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went running in the city, usually I go running when my family's in the camper because there's more green.
Mm-hmm.
But when I would go running in the city, I always used to go north to the Noordkasteel.
Yeah.
And a couple of months ago, I went running to prepare for the 10 miles, and I passed the Noordkasteel again. I couldn't go there.
No.
Just
no.
closed off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you meant like you
And
you couldn't see it because it's awful. It used to be such a beautiful place, and now
and
it's
also,
it's a ruin.
Yeah, and then I went next to, and then
Yeah.
I mean, the first time, because I went twice, the first time I was able to like sneak a little bit past the thing, and I could still run next to the.
Yeah.
But then I came at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and just like you had the corner at the end of the water. And it was just like a scene out of Lord of the Rings when like I think it's Saruman who like destroys the trees. It's just like a barren
It's
wasteland.
awful.
Yeah.
It's really awful, and
It's like,
it's a
oh
good
God,
thing.
what is this?
Yeah, maybe it's also a good thing that you weren't there when they were cutting the trees, because that's an awful thing to watch.
Yeah.
There's like a beautiful tree standing up, and then there's a big machine pulling the tree apart. It's really awful. Yeah. Just don't want to see that.
No, it's very sad.
Yeah.
But hopefully they will make something beautiful out of it again.
Yeah.
I hope.
So that's why we do it, actually, because the trees, like, they were there for ages. I mean, different generations know these trees. So it's nice for those people to just keep a little part of those trees. They have a history. I mean, they tell a lot of stories. I mean, sure, there were kids kissing there for the first time, and yeah, they have a lot of memories. Trees have memories, right? So it's a good thing that these are kept local for people to make something, build a project with it, like a shelf for your books or anything. Yeah. So that's why we do it. Like, they need to stay local.
Mm-hmm.
People need to be, the trees need to be accessible for the people that live in the city.
Well said.
Yeah.
Are they drying at your facility?
What?
Are the trees drying at your facility? Because I can imagine it takes up a lot of space for a long time.
Yeah. And really expensive shelves also.
Yeah.
Yeah, we build a little drying chamber, or how do you say that? Drying room for
30 trees.
Yeah.
That's
you need
huge
to,
drying
you need to
chamber.
stack them properly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's huge. It takes a lot of place, but it's worth the effort, no?
Yeah, of course. If it's, I mean, if you don't, if you can still, earn something on it, because it sounds indeed quite, intensive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why our new place will be 800 square meters and 7 meters high. So we bought really high racks to stack all these materials, not only the trees, but just a board of OSB. I mean, if you have a pallet of that, that's a lot of space that it uses. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And are they all sold already?
No, they're not. No,
they still.
People can make a reservation if they want, like, specifically this tree or that tree. They can order it right now. Sure, it needs to dry a little more, but yeah.
And where can they order it?
BUURMANAntwerpen.be.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. How much is a cheese plank?
Oh, I think it starts at 30.
Oh, there we go. Awesome.
Easy, huh?
Awesome. So, like, is it proving out to be everything that you expected it to be when you started it 3 years ago? Like, satisfaction-wise, of like the satisfaction of saving this material and
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Even more, I think. Yeah. No, I'm not sure. I don't know if I had a really good vision on that, because I don't always think ahead. Just do whatever's needs to be done without whatever I want to do in 5 years. I don't know. I couldn't answer that question. So, but yeah, it's really satisfying knowing that all of these materials were otherwise trash or burned if we weren't doing this. Yeah. And that also keeps us going, because that's really a big reward. And sometimes people compliment us on, wow, it's really amazing what you guys are doing. I'm like, oh yeah, it is. Yeah, thanks. I had a tough week, so it's a good thing that you say that. Yeah, you remind me of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's not always easy.
No.
And when you're in the middle of it, it can really suck.
Yep.
But you need to take a step back, right?
Yeah. If you just zoom out and you know what you're doing is only going to be good for your environment, also for my kids. I mean, I just by doing my job, I can show them like you can really change if you just act. And that's what we do with BUURMAN. We don't talk too much about it. We don't write a whole lot of books about it. We're just doing it every day, and that's really satisfying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you see yourself now, because you just mentioned it's difficult to like think about what I'm gonna do and what I will be doing in 5 years? Can you say that you will still be doing this in 5 years, in 6 years, in 10 years?
Probably. I don't know. Never thinking about that. No, I don't. I really don't. That's during my career, a lot of time I've had that question. What do you see yourself doing in 5 years? I never know. I just if this keeps going as it goes, yeah, probably I'll still be at BUURMAN or in some way. I don't know how or how much, but yeah, probably yes.
And maybe something that's also potentially curious for people who are listening, who are thinking about starting not the exactly same thing, but businesses who have like a strong sustainability component, but also, yeah, it's a business. So if there's no profit or no turnover being made, it's not a business. It's not gonna continue. It's not gonna grow. It's not gonna increase its impact. So this balance between profitability and the commitment to sustainability, is that something that's difficult, or is it something you struggle with, or does it go very organically?
Yeah, I think it's going really organically, but I disagree. I think when you say there's no profit, I mean, if you mean you're not rewarding yourself with a lot of money in the end of the year, yeah, you can argue that, but is it only about that? I mean, if you're really satisfied at what you're doing, isn't that good enough? And we're still growing, so I don't know necessarily if it doesn't mean that in the end we will be ending with some profit. I don't know, but there's also the social part in our company that we really believe in circular going together with social economy, and that's also really something that we keep really high. I mean, and it's satisfying also to know that some people are working because you started this business. They otherwise wouldn't be working or working somewhere else. And it's, I think, more like that's my profitability, perhaps. I don't know if that's a good answer to your question, but yeah.
Yeah, of course. Maybe I didn't verbalize it well enough. I didn't meant that you need to be making huge profit margins.
Yeah.
But if there's no turnover, then the business can't continue, right?
Yeah.
And only if there's profit and growth, you can reinvest it, and you can continue to grow. So, yeah, I don't know, how do you like for the the prices, for example, if you put it maybe even lower, you can sell more. I don't like, how do you look at that?
I think we should actually be more expensive than new materials, and people should really choose to buy reclaimed wood, but that's not gonna happen anytime soon. So I think BUURMAN is only successful because we combine the shop with the courses we give, and team buildings, for example, is really rewarding, and it's making sure that we keep enough margin to do some less profitable jobs also, like spending 2 hours on a board that needs to be dismantled, that's not profitable. But if at the same time there's a team building going on, then it's good. Like, we try to keep the balance good at that level, I think. Like the total of the things we do. And sometimes we need to do bigger projects to, at the end of the month, make sure we have enough left for everybody and to grow. Exactly. So yeah, you need some margin to grow.
Does your background as an architect, from the studies at least, does it help now? Do you?
Yeah, I think so. In two ways. One is you learn how to think as a problem solver, like a creative way of thinking without being creative and designing. But also, like, it gives you the idea of how construction world, how it works, and how does a contractor think, how does the client think, or how does the architect think. And we think at BUURMAN that the key in more sustainable material use is that those parties work together. So it's a good thing that we have that background. Like, we know how they work, how they think, and so we can try and put the puzzle pieces together and make everybody working together to achieve the same goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because your co-founder she's also an architect.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine if you know how indeed the different stakeholders and what their role is during the building process, I can imagine that it really helps to know where you need to.
Yeah.
Because for us, like, we started doing this right after our education. It was our thesis, actually. And it really took us a while. And I'm not even sure that we fully understand it already. Like, how the different stakeholders in a building process are collaborating, who's making decisions at which time, who needs to be influenced at which time. Like, it's very complicated.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It needs to be simplified.
Yeah, also. Yeah, definitely.
And I think if the different parties, like, just sit together in the beginning of the process and say, like, hey, we want to build it with reused materials, or we want to we're going to rebuild an office building, and we don't want to buy anything new, so we just want to rebuild it with the materials that are already on site. It's just the best way to do it is just sit around the table at the very beginning. This is what we want to do, and then the contractor sets a price on reusing the materials, so you don't have the argument afterwards like, no, it's always going to be more expensive, like, you know. Yeah,
for sure. So you just mentioned a couple of minutes ago that it's not your natural tendency to look far ahead in the future, but if we would just dream for like a little bit and think about, let's say it's 2033, 10 years in the future, and BUURMAN has been going for 12 years. What's your vision for that? What would be like the optimal outcome in 10 years of BUURMAN?
I think BUURMAN would be like really known place if you want to buy something to rebuild your house. You just go and check BUURMAN first before you go to Brico or whatever else. But also for bigger companies or projects that are just contacting BUURMAN and say, like, in 9 months we're gonna need this and this and that, and then we can try and look for the right materials at another place and just move the stuff around. Yeah. So, like, if BUURMAN was really a concept that's known really wide, and maybe also different BUURMANen in different cities, that would be really nice. Yeah.
It's a really good name. Like it's something that you would say, yeah? Like, honey, I'm gonna build a shelf. Oh, check BUURMAN. Like it flows very well.
Yeah, I think so.
Hubo has it as well, as you say. It's already been along for a very long time, but still, like the BUURMAN, the connotation with I'm gonna check my neighbor.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
branding.
you also help your neighbor, no?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, double meaning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even there yet. Indeed, you also help your neighbor by going to your neighbor.
Yeah.
Very
And that's
cool.
what we also really believe in. We don't believe in competition. Just help each other. I mean, there's a lot of different material banks in Flanders where we work together with. It's like we need this, we can offer that, or do you know anybody who has this or that? It's easier to help each other than to stand in each other's way and try to be competitive. Like, we saw that first. No, we saw that. I mean, what's the use of that? Like, if you see something you both want it, you just share it, or say it's more like your area. So yeah, go ahead, it's yours.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it works better if your organization has a strong social or sustainable overall target or goal that it's aiming for, because the challenge is so enormous, the sustainability challenge as a whole, and then the sustainability challenge in construction is even like beyond size. So then if you look at it from that perspective, as you say, like, yeah, if my competition takes the place, it's also getting removed from the trash pile. So
and that's perfect. Yeah.
Great.
So might as well work together.
It's trash enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, keep it local. That's the main thing, because you don't have the traffic also. And there's enough. I mean, you don't have to argue about it.
yeah, basically if you get at the point where you're going to be fighting over the trash, kind of job done, right? Time to do something else. Yeah, that's like, okay.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, we go start something new.
Yeah, ideally we would be not needed anymore.
Yeah.
If BUURMAN is not needed, it means there's no trash anymore, and people are reusing every piece of wood. So that would be perfect. Yeah.
I find that very beautiful. Like organizations who have as a mission that if the mission can be solved.
Yeah.
Like a classic business who just goes for maximal profit, there's never an end point.
Oh no.
Oh no, there can always be more profit.
And I think that's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's very clear, it's very motivating when you have a goal. There's an end point to the goal.
Yeah. Imagine that. We would reach the end point.
Yeah. It's kind of anti-capitalistic, but still, it's fascinating to think about. We are approaching the end of the conversation, and we are kind of in the habit of at the end switching the discourse a bit and to focus a little bit more on the person itself, who we are having the conversation with, or who the audience is listening to. So we take a couple of more random questions. And one of these questions that we tend to ask is there anyone, dead or alive, that if you could have a drink with today in Antwerp at a bar, for example, that would really pop up in your mind? Someone that's really interesting for you, that could be interesting for the audience to learn about?
Yeah. Is there? Do I have to pick one?
You can say.
Can I put
15.
Different people on the table, or
yes, at a wooden table from one of the trees at Noordkasteel. Yeah.
All right. So I would really like to have a conversation with John Muir. I don't know if you know the guy, but he lived like 100 years ago in Western America, and he was one of the pioneers that made national parks. Like, he was the one that founded Kings National Park, Yosemite. I think that's really important, to be protective of nature and see the beauty in it. And he's written a lot of beautiful books also. But I also would pick a couple that I met on a YouTube video. I didn't meet them actually, but I would like to meet them. That are living in Indonesia, and they build with bamboo. Really cool constructions also, and they also teach courses. They're called, I have to check, Oren Harden and Maria Ferrugia, and they...
What's the name of the YouTube channel?
I thought it was... I looked it up. It was Bamboo U and Ibuku that are two companies that work together, and they're building really cool things with bamboo. And because of bamboo being a really sustainable source, material. I liked it. Yeah. So do those two people together, I would like that very much. Yeah.
Awesome. We're gonna definitely put those in the show notes so that people can look it up. I thought there was also a president that did a lot, including the parks, wasn't it?
Roosevelt,
right?
Yeah.
That's the one who was sitting in a wheelchair?
But it was John Muir that talked to Roosevelt all the time, like, hey, you need to check this and this area and make it a national park. So he went on the field and
Oh, he advised. It's that one. There are a lot of them, like 50, aren't there? Like an enormous amount of
I
parks?
think so, 50, and they're awesome.
I really want to visit one day.
Yeah.
I've been to the East Coast a couple of times, but never been to the West Coast, nor have I visited any parks on the East Coast. So it's definitely on the bucket list.
I would recommend the West Side. Yeah.
Yeah. Which ones? Any specific ones?
You mean any specific park?
Yeah.
Yosemite for sure. Oh no, Glacier National Park. Yeah.
Glacier?
Glacier. Yeah.
Why?
Because it's just amazingly beautiful. It's something you don't see here in Europe. It's really wide, really cool place. Yeah. Great.
But you go there regularly, like you were explaining before we started interviewing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. I like that very much. Yeah.
Is there a book that you recently read, or have you ever read that you would really advise to our listeners?
It's a bit philosophically maybe, but the books of John Muir are really, if you're a nature lover, they're good books. Yeah.
Okay.
Any book of him. I don't know any specific names. Yeah. Okay,
that sounds like twice in a row. Sounds like a really fascinating guy.
Yeah.
And then a new one that we're trying out. It seems, if you have any superpower for the day, what would you do, or what would you prefer?
Oh, I would, for one day only.
Or for a week, or for a year.
I would save the trees that are otherwise being cut. Yeah.
Okay.
Just keep the roots really tight in the ground so they can be, whatever. Give them superpower and, not being able to cut.
Okay.
Yeah. Save
it's
the
a good
trees.
One.
Yeah.
All right. I think then that we are approaching the end of this conversation.
Okay.
Do you have any final remarks? Any things that we didn't touch up on that you would like to mention to the people who are listening?
Maybe if there's any company thinking we have a project and we really want to see how we can work with reclaimed wood or save this wood from the shredder, they can always contact us. Even if they don't know how to start, we are really eager to help out and find if there's a way that can be a win-win situation. Yeah.
All right. Then I think there is only one thing left to do, and that's to thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
To tell your, I think, very inspiring story to our audience. I wish you the best of luck with BUURMAN.
Thank you.
I'm going to look on the website to buy one of those Noordkasteel cheese platters. I hope a lot of people in the audience do as well. And then I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. And thanks for inviting me also.
You're very welcome.
All
right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Bao Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you're interested in Bao living in our Smart Adaptable Module or SAM, go check out our website baoliving.com. If you want to stay up to date, you can best subscribe to our monthly newsletter on our website or follow us on all social media platforms where we're named @BouwLiving.